Wyclef Jean, BKS1 Radio. Let's go.
This is Essence Atkins, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Hi, this is Melba Moore, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
Yo, check it out. What's the deal? This the chef. Giving a big shout out to my peoples. Big KS, you already know what it is. Salute.
What's up? It's your girl Monifa, and I'm hanging with BKS1 Radio.
Hi, I'm Iyanla Vanzant, and you're listening to BKS1 Radio.
BKS Radio, baby.
Hey, this is Jasmine Guy for BKS1 Radio.
What's going on? This is Lamont Rooker, and this is BKS1 Radio.
Shout out to BKS1, the best kept damn secret in the business.
Hey, what's up? This is Raven Goodwin from BET's Being Mary Jane, and shout out to BKS1.
Hi, this is Leon. You're watching BKS1 Radio.
BKS1. God bless y'all.
Hello, 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 and welcome to the Owl Show. It's your girl, Latoya Chanel, right here on BKS1 Radio, and I am back right here on another Tuesday. God has blessed me to be here in the building, and I am here to give you another show, and without any further delay, I am going to go ahead and I am going to let in my friends, my ladies. They are here in the virtual building with me this week. From the Yoshida Academy, please help me welcome to the virtual stage, Minwei and Angie, everybody, because they are back, and we are back on our series. We are doing the red flag, well, I'm going to say the flags series, and we're going to venture from red flags to yellow flags, and then eventually green flags. But as you all know, for the last I'm going to say year, we have been focused on red flags. And no, we did not intend to talk about red flags for that long. However, I mean, there's red flags in everything. There's red flags in every single kind of relationship that you can have. And just getting to the crux of it in detail of what it does in your life is so important, and we wanted to make sure that we were going through every aspect of that to be able to give to you. If you want to go back, make sure you go to BKS1 Radio TV on YouTube, or you can go to the OWL Facebook page and make sure that you are going back. And if there's red flags in a corporate environment and you want to check it out, go to either one of those sites and you can see it in romantic relationships, with family, with friends, no matter what it is. We did it for every month, 4 years straight, and you can go back and check that out. And today will be our final recap. We did start recapping it last month, and today we're only going to use half of the show to do the rest of the recap, because we have one more point that we want to talk about, and we're going to recap that. And then guess what? We're transitioning into yellow flags today, everybody, in romantic relationships. So, of course, you're going to want to stay tuned to this entire show so that you can hear that. But please help me welcome again Minwei and Angie to the virtual platform right here on Zoom with me. So, hi, ladies. How are you?
Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Let's hop right into it. If one of you can just recap what we did the last time and just transition into today's point.
Of course. So in the last session, we spoke about, well, what are the red flags? What did we cover? There were always some recurring themes that kept popping up. Fears was the first recurring theme. Yes. Everything is based on fear. A lot of the decisions that we make, the reactions that we have are fear-based. And where does fear come from? Fears comes from absolutely everything. It comes from the way that we grew up, the things and the beliefs that we were told, that we saw, the experiences that we had. It comes from society. It comes from other people, from your friends, from your families, from your places of work. And as a matter of fact, it comes from past relationships where you experience some trauma. We also spoke about boundaries. See, the thing is that we are not clear on what our boundaries are, and we are not communicating to people. We're not being clear on what they are. As a matter of fact, when we tell people that we have a boundary, we allow them to cross it. Not only do they cross it, they take a train and they go right over it. And we keep repeating the patterns, because boundaries is not the only thing. everything is based on healing, and it begins with the self and with you. Minue, what else?
Well, you know what we have discovered also, and we've spoken about this in prior shows, the underlying or the recurrent topic happens to be very similar. You know, if when it's red flags, when it's yellow flags, which we're transitioning, it starts with ourselves. You know, it starts with the fact that sometimes we don't know ourselves. And that's one of the biggest issue. Because if somebody is asking you, what do you want, what you don't want, what do you accept, what you don't accept, and sometimes we don't even know it. So if you call ambiguity, ambiguity is going to come to you. And so it's about being clear. I know what I want. I know what I like. Or I don't, or at least I know what I don't like. And I communicate that clearly. Because the next thing has to do with communication. Am I being clear, or am I also being we were talking about this, Angie, and I wishy-washy. am I saying it but not saying it? And then I want people to be guessing. You know, we spoke about, you should know me already. Why are you asking me? No, nobody should know anybody. Remember, this is a reminder for all of the people that are listening. Nobody has this magic ball to be guessing what you want, who you are, what you want to say. You've got to say it, and say it as it is, with no filters, just as it goes. And then boundaries, you know, at the end, we are kind of afraid. Fear at the end is what's underlying all of this. I am afraid of losing a relationship. I'm afraid of missing out. I'm afraid of not having a good partner in my life. I'm afraid of being alone. And because I am afraid, and I can't see anything, if there's an open space, then I accept anything that comes to my life.
Right.
And that comes in red flags, you know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so then transitioning to the third point. Who's want to take that on?
Which is the comebacks. It has to do with the comebacks. We always get, you know, people ask us, so how do you respond to some of these things that people tell you? Where's the playbook? I want the playbook so that I could at least, you know, what's coming next. I'm anticipating, you know, it's like, oh, you know, I read this in the playbook, chapter 23 of the playbook, you know, section 5 says this is how I should respond to this. And so we have some comebacks because we believe that you need to be properly equipped for some of these things that you're experiencing. At Academy, we love to infuse humor in everything that we do. We do have a disclaimer. Minue says I'm like the queen of disclaimers, because then our legal team is going to be saying, ladies, you can't be doing that or saying that. And so here's the disclaimer. We are not therapists. We are not licensed therapists. We are certified coaches. What we do is that we offer you some advice and some tips on what you can do. But we also say that you should refer back to a licensed therapist for a lot of the things that you're experiencing, because there are some things that are outside of our scope of work and what we do. However, there are some of the things that we have heard. And so we're going to do something. We're going to play a game. And we want to include you listeners who are listening to this podcast today and some of this. Write it in the chat. Let us know what are some things that you've heard. Let's work on the playbook of the comebacks together, because we want to make sure that we are tackling every single one of them. And so, Minue, give us the first thing that we hear all the time. And what's the comeback?
Oh, yeah. And so, Latoya, we're going to do like a little skit. I am going to read to you what the red flag is, right? And then Angie will tell you, you know, what's best to respond. And so we're going to play a little bit like that. Okay. Some examples of red flags would be, I call you 30 times. I've been calling you all day long. You're not responding. And then it's because I love you. I love you so much that I just think about you all day long. And I didn't mean to, to be, it's not toxic. No. It's just that I love you so, so much. But I've been calling you, and you're just not responding to me immediately when I call you. So, Angie,
Usually
what do we really want to say?
Yeah, usually when we hear something like that, the first thing we do is because we are reactionary, because we're humans and it's just our nature. We're going to react to certain things that are being told to us. And I know the first thing that I want to say is, do I look like your child? Am I your child? Wait a second. Here's a leash. Get a puppy, because I am not your child. What are you doing? That's what you want to say. However, there are some issues with that response. You just don't know how the other person is going to take it. And so we always say, I know you want to respond that. Listen, that's what I want to respond. But here is something that you should think about saying instead. So, meanwhile, what should they say instead?
Well, I love using humor, and it's just because it dissipates every type of tension and whatnot. And it tells you a lot about how the other person is going to react. So when I have someone like that, I always say like, oh, so you've been calling me all day long and you expect me to respond and to be there day in and day night. I saw a show about that the other day. Yeah, it was on Netflix. I think it was called Stalker. So the other person, if they take offense, oh, by the way, this is very, very important. If you use humor and the other person takes offense, double red flag. Because then the other person is like, no, I'm very serious. And you're not taking me seriously. When I experience this, you know what I do? To the double offense, double humor. And I jump with another joke, and I jump with another one. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, let me give you my phone number, my private phone number, because apparently I didn't give that to you, so you can just be calling me like Batman and the red phone. So if I hear it sounding, then I pick it up. So I always come back with a rebuttal of another joke.
What kind of relationship is this response in?
This is red flag. This is a toxic relationship.
What kind of relationship? Is this a corporate? Is this romantic? Is this family? Is this friends?
Oh, this is in a personal relationship.
A personal.
Yes, this is in a personal relationship. When you use this type of humor, depending. So if we go to corporate or if we go to a working relationship, personally, I do use humor anyway. By the way, personally, But it is also only because it is my style, which means the way that I deliver that. I get away with it because of the way I deliver it, because it goes with my personality. If it's not your personality, like to those of you who are listening, if it's not your personality and you deliver a joke, then it's quite disrespectful. Right? But if I have a good relationship with my boss or whomever is calling me, and I put it and I make a joke, which by the way, I've done this in a corporate world, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, I make some sort of joke. I actually did the Batman joke one time with a boss of mine, and she was laughing. Actually, she took it in a good way, so that was good. And she said, "Oh, you're right. I'm sorry." And I was like, "No, it's okay. It's okay. I know you were calling me, but." And then we took it to a serious avenue, and I said, I didn't respond because of this, and that, right? And so it's just that difference. But the reality is that if it's a corporate situation or something like that, boundaries. It would be your number one.
Absolutely. Right.
I would go back to boundaries first, and I would say, I know you called me 30 times. I told you I couldn't talk up after this time, and I am very respectful of my family, or whatever reason I have given, no? Or I don't want to work on Saturdays and Sundays as we discussed, or so I just point out the reason without having to give too much explanation. I think we shared this before. I'm going to share it often because I don't think it's sink in me. So I'm doing it just for me and my experience. It didn't sink in me from the beginning. Your friends and the people that love you do not require an explanation, and your enemies and people that don't love you will never understand them.
Absolutely.
And so you should never really explain that much, right? Unless it's an explanation, but that's another thing. That's a friendship explanation. But to a
right,
boss
because
that
there's always some accountability in a situation, no matter if it's a loved one or not. If there's something that you were supposed to do that you're not doing, then obviously, you know, there's some sort of accountability, regardless of if they need it or not, you know, offering some word of, hey, I'm not taking you for granted, you know, just so you know.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, I'm talking about situations that this is happening over and over and over and over. Of course, like for example, if Angie's calling me 30 times and I'm not responding, this is not an over and over and over thing. It's like it's not a pattern.
Right.
It's a, oh my goodness, guess what? You know, I something actually happened. So no, that's an exception, and that's a friendship, and that would be a normal situation. But not so red flags is something that repeats and repeats and repeats and repeats, and so then suddenly. It is a pattern, and for some reason we don't see it, and it's or wait, we see it, we just choose not to see it.
We choose not to deal with it.
Yes, because our fear is bigger than the reasons, right? Like if I'm afraid of losing my job and my boss keeps doing this over and over and over, I might choose not to see it because I don't want to confront this behavior because I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
Right. And so this whole thing about red flags and yellow and green is full and complete honesty with yourself. You know, question yourself.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I would say, how many times has this happened to you? Because if it's one time, it's cute. And so, like, one of the red flags, would be, I waited for you outside of your house all night. Right? Like, yeah. Listen, I have had someone doing that, and I have friends who do that. I waited for you outside, and so you think, oh, how romantic! Look at that. He waited for me outside in the window. There's a movie about that, by the way, right? And he's outside, and it's raining. I think it's called Cinema Paradiso, and then it's super romantic because he said, "I love you." I love you so much that I will wait for you an eternity. And so he's outside of the window and it's raining and then it's pouring and then it's sunny. And then she looks at the window and he's still there, right? And so, you know, it's like it's been romanticized, right? Oh my God, let's see, you know, this is like a resistance thing. Let's see how much is he willing to do it or she willing to do it.
Yeah.
So it's been romanticized. The thing is, if I waited for you outside one night because I wanted to surprise you or whatever it is. Well, that's one thing, but you do it often. You're waiting for me outside of my work, outside of my house, outside of my parents' house. You drive by my house. We just talked to someone like that, Angie. I remember that. Just like, yeah, it's like that's stalking, and that's not, and
absolutely is.
And I'm completely uncomfortable. And it's not because it's not even healthy for you. Right. It's not even healthy for you. Go see help. And here's the thing that no, you're not being lovely and romantic.
No, that's not. No, it's not. It's none of those things.
So this is the thing. When somebody is doing something like that, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, because I think this is the problem, that our intuition, what you call your gut feeling, the thing that tells you something is off, something is not right, we don't pay attention to it. It's almost like we bypass that. And inadvertently, we put ourselves in situations where now it's worrisome and can become dangerous. So the thing is that somebody calling you 30 times is not normal. Either it's an emergency. I can understand if it's an emergency. I remember one time a family member called me, I think it was 10 times back to back. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I have on my phone, I have the, you know, like the do not disturb after a certain time. For some reason, I ended up waking up and I see this number. It was 10 calls back to back. And I called back to see who it was. And it was a family member saying, hey, your uncle just passed. Now that right there warns, you know, it's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I missed the 30 messages. But now I'm explaining it's because I turned off my phone. But if you have a romantic partner that's calling you 30 times because of their own insecurity and because they need to know where you are at all times, then that right there is a huge problem. It's no longer a red flag, it's a problem that reflects on them, not on you. Right. And what we've seen is that if you do not take care of this problem, then it can become into something bigger. And so here is, okay, this is an issue. Where is this coming from? You need to seek some help. And if you don't seek help, then I'm out of here. Right. Because you just don't know what the next could be.
Right.
Well, and then it passes from red flags to you're in danger.
Correct.
Right, like an alarm kind of flag.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes we don't see that danger. Unfortunately, there are cases. I'm sorry, and it's not that I'm watching too much TV or too many news, but the reality is that it can escalate very quickly, because if that person is a bit violent or is unstable, then we're in danger. I'm not blaming the person who's in danger. Please, by all means, I don't want this to be a trigger and say it's your fault. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, you saw a red flag. You accepted to live inside of the red flag. You felt in danger, and you're failing to take action. There is a part of you that might be calling this subconsciously, unadvertently. It's subconscious because nobody wants to harm ourselves, right? Of course not. It is just, be aware, because there are situations, and again, we're not therapists, but there are situations where people are really engaged in codependency. And if I'm engaged in a codependent relationship, you're toxic, then I'm toxic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to read your phone. I'll read yours. Oh really? Well, I'm going to throw your clothes out of the window. Oh yeah, well, I'm going to scratch your car with my key.
Oh my God.
Like we have seen this with people, and I'm sorry, that is a codependent relationship that is quite toxic, and that's another level. Seek help in that case, right? Now, did it happen one day? No. And this is the reason why we have yellow flags, then red flags, right? Because first it was a yellow flag, which we'll talk in a minute. It's like there's something, but it's not quite there. But then it became a red flag, and you saw it. And now is when you have to take action, again, because it's a repetitive pattern. Again, the point is, please recognize this with all the honesty in your heart. Even if you say, but I love him. Okay, yes, I get that. Or I love her. Or I love them. I get that. I get that you love them. Now, put that apart on the side. Okay, now, in a cold platter, objectively, are you being free? Are you being happy?
Yep.
Are you being healthy? And are you at peace? Because if you're not at peace, even if you love them, there is something that is not okay, because sooner or later, it's going to come back and harm you. Be honest with yourself and recognize and say, I am not. And if you do that, trust me, you're 50% away from it. Now you can do something about it. And that's called self-love. Self-preservation. Self-love, self-preservation. Absolutely.
I feel like, unfortunately, you have so many folks who don't know what healthy love is. And so, in personal relationships, and I'm going to say even professional relationships, because even within corporate environments, there is a very brand new manner in which we go about, being in a corporate environment. It was just a few years ago where your boss could yell and scream at you, and it was just your fault, and it was okay for you to be stressed out and worried about everything, and they kind of just ruled your entire life. Gone are those days in most corporate spaces, not all, but things are a bit different now, and so most people know toxic corporate spaces and believe that kind of behavior is okay. And then transitioning into personal and romantic relationships, I'm going to say in romantic relationships, most folks don't know healthy love nowadays. And so a lot of people believe that toxic behavior is love. That is how I show my love, with erratic behavior, and feel like that's okay. Unfortunately, you have a number of people who are on the receiving end that feels like if they're not doing that, then that's not love. They don't care about me. They're not showing me. That was one of the reasons why I asked you with the perspective of using humor. Now, I'm one of those people. I use humor in all spaces. I like to laugh. I like to joke. I don't care how serious the situation is. I'm going to throw a joke in, but I learned as I got older and in different spaces that it doesn't work. And in most cases, it only makes people madder. And so I found in a romantic space that my humor only made my partner at the time matter. Like you said, again, that's a double red flag, right? But that's why I asked what kind of relationship you were talking about, because from a cultural perspective, I couldn't imagine in an African American relationship or household instilling humor in certain situations, whether it be friends, family, or romantic relationship, and that not turning into a big fight.
That's why I said, like, it all depends. I just said, like, it all depends what relationship you have, what culture you have. Also in the Asian community, that this type of humor wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. No. But it's always the answer is always clear, succinct communication.
Right.
Just very clear, and the clarity that we don't have sometimes. And listen, being assertive is something that we were not taught. I have no idea why. We are in general, by the way. Because we see this in all the cultures, whereas like, Chanel, I really don't feel comfortable that you are calling me 50 times and that you're outside of my house and that you look for me at work. Right. Like, in that, it's something we don't say. Just saying, I am comfortable with this, I'm not comfortable with that. Yeah. So at the end, clear, simple communication, that's what works. So we have another one. That it's the typical, because I love you, therefore fill in the blank, no? Mm-hmm. I remember, so I used to have, I used to be in a relationship with this guy said, oh, you're so beautiful. And I said, oh, how cute. I love your body. Oh, thank you. Oh, your legs are so beautiful. Oh, my legs are beautiful. Thank you so much. You love me, right? Yes, I do. And your legs are mine? Oh, yes, baby, they're yours. Oh, I want to be the only one in the world to see them because they're mine. Okay. So when you use miniskirts, can you use them just for me? So there's like our special thing? Yes, of course, baby. I know. Right now it's like, excuse me, what? In that moment, in that scenario, in that context, in the way that is portrayed, I'm sorry, but we all have succumbed to manipulation without even noticing it. Because the way that it's shown to you is, I love you because. And therefore, I love you therefore.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. And then you
I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, so I had a similar experience with an ex. He did this publicly. I'm never gonna forget this. We had just arrived in Atlanta. We were in the Atlanta airport, and you know how you have to come down the stairs to go to catch the little tram to go to the other terminal to get your bags. And we were coming down, and these guys were coming up. It was 3 of them, and they're talking about me. You know, and they're pointing or whatever. And I remember this ex turns to the guys because he was watching them the whole time, and he literally grabs my derriere, and he says, "Yeah, that's mine. Please stop looking at it." And I was mortified. I was so embarrassed. I was embarrassed, beyond embarrassed. And he laughed, and of course he kissed me and says, I love you. And in my mind, I said, I know this did not happen. This did not happen in the middle of, the Atlanta airport. Everybody's staring at us. Some people were laughing. Other people, were, when people give you that look like, and you can tell what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I was so aggravated. I was so annoyed. I was so mad. I said, you need to manage your insecurities. Oh, that's what I really said.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I could have said it differently, but I responded in the middle of the airport to him, to what he did, because I did not find that funny. I didn't find it cute. I didn't think it was, adorable or out of love. It was out of insecurity. So, of course, this man got pissed the hell off. He got pissed off at me that I even said that. And of course, by the time we got to the hotel, he told me off. How dare I embarrass him in front of everybody? And I said, how dare you embarrass me in front of everybody with that?
And you realized it, Angie, because, you were aware, but the reality is many people would not realize and will just say like, oh, of course, baby, I'm yours, and my body's yours as well, and my whole body's yours, and do what you want with it. So that's another red flag. Is just, in all honesty, just going back to freedom, by the way. Are you free to say what you want, to do what you want, to wear what you want? And if not, then check your own insecurities now, because then you're the one that's insecure.
So what should I have said instead? If we're using humor, what should I have responded instead?
Well, yours was very good, the insecurities, but you could have said like, so we have something in Spanish that is a otro perro con ese hueso, which is like, give that bone to another dog. It's like, I'm not gonna believe what you just said, but so it's just saying like, oh, you're so cute, but no, you're full of it. That's something like that.
Well, it always goes back to being assertive, right? And communicating what we're uncomfortable with. Although we say, these funny responses and rebuttals, we always give the real version, which is this goes back to your communication. It goes back to setting boundaries. It goes back to self-love. It goes back to what you're willing and not willing to tolerate.
Right. What you're not going to accept.
At the end of the day, it goes back to those things.
Yeah.
What is saying on the chat? Has anybody written anything yet,
Well,
Latoya?
we definitely have someone on the chat, and to everyone who has been trying to comment, I am not sure why that I had that property on there or how it got there, but it's open now, so I do apologize to everyone who's been trying to comment. So hi, Raquel. Raquel says, hi. Is there a way to let a loved one know that you've seen the red flags in their relationship when it's obvious that they are infatuated with their partner? Ooh.
What a great question.
Because the immediate response from most friends, I'm not sure if this is friends or a family member, but the immediate response is always, you're just jealous.
It's a thin line. There are some friends that are open to the feedback, and there are friends that are not open, and they're going to react exactly the way that you just said. They're going to say, you're just being jealous. And so the thing here is, well, how do I identify whether or not my friend is ready to hear the truth from me and my perspective? Because not everybody is prepared.
Right.
Not everybody wants to hear it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do in that moment, Minwei? How do you let your loved one know that you're seeing the red flags in their relationship, and it's obvious that you are infatuated with this person, and they may not be it for you? And I think we've all been in that situation. But Minwei, what's the one of the best approaches to doing this?
Yeah, so just what I actually told you before, which is asking your friend, are you happy? Are you truly happy?
Mm-hmm.
Is this really what you want?
Mm-hmm.
It's very interesting because it's a double-edged sword. When you're infatuated with someone, when you're in love, or you think you're in love,
Mm-hmm.
or you are in lust, no?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mostly if you've been with the guy and you feel, or with the person, and you feel that there's this chemistry that is like super strong, the reality is that it really doesn't matter what you tell that person.
Nothing's gonna help.
I wish there was a phrase or something that you could tell that person, but there really is not.
Right. Right.
On the contrary, if you keep saying something, this person is going to stop telling you.
Absolutely.
And if they stop telling you, then it gets worse, because now they have no one to talk to about this.
Yeah.
And then you can fall into not knowing what happens to this person. If this person falls into a red flag, you will not know. I think friends, as a friend, you're supposed to say, is this really who you are? Is this really what you want?
Mm-hmm.
Not what to say, or get out of there and that guy's a jerk, or because if the person is infatuated, they're not going to listen. They're just going to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. As a coach, I have to say that I learned something from my coach, that even if it's clear for you, the other person has their own process.
Mm-hmm.
And you are no one to interfere with their process. You can't interfere with somebody else's process. Now, I would say, if the other person is in danger, then intervene.
Right. Right.
Then intervene. Don't wait, because I think Latoya, I've met people that say, one of my best friends, their partner hit this person, right? And it said, were you able to do something? And then my friend said, I couldn't do anything because, she asked me not to interfere. But to me, that's different, because that's violence. If there's violence, to me, you cross the line, whether they want it or not. In my perspective, again, everyone's free to do it.
I 10 million% agree with you. If someone is in danger, and physical danger, their life is in jeopardy, they are in danger, or there's any kind of domestic violence, I'm saying something. And again, whether you see if this is out of love in your time period or not, I would risk the relationship to let you know that you are in danger, as opposed to keeping my mouth shut and then watching something happen to you and then regretting it for the rest of my life. Outside of that, again, I feel like as a family member, as a friend, we've all been in circumstances and situations where we've watched one of our loved ones and one of our friends doing something or staying in a relationship that didn't serve them. And, and there's only so much that you can say. And, depending upon how close you are and how real you are, because there are people that we are related to, and there are people that we call friends that we can't all have honest conversations, in-depth conversations with, but depending upon, how in-depth your relationship is, I have that. I have my inner circle of friends where I can literally go like this, girl, what are we doing? And I have, that relationship with some of my guy friends too, where I can go, excuse me, sir, what is this craziness about? But I also have an outer circle of friends where I have to go, okay, that's, you like it. You can't say, you like it, I love it, because, that's a microaggression. But, in my mind, without making the faces, I'm thinking to myself, if you like it, I love it. But I really, honestly, I can't say anything about it. I can only be there for you And as you're talking, as your friend or family member is talking to you about certain things, just reinforce what their needs are. Reinforce, what it is that they are, if they do come to you with a problem, and go about things like that. But outside of that, there's really nothing that you can say.
Yeah, no,
I hope you're being healthy. I hope you're do you feel like this is the best course of action for you, not the relationship, but for you? I have those kinds of conversations with those kinds of relationships. But outside of that, honestly, nothing.
Exactly, and I would say, please keep trying in the most loving way. I've got to say something. People ask me, how did you realize this, right? It was for like 3 years. How did you finally realize this? My sister told me one day, so this guy picks me up at home and he's honking the horn for me to go out, right? I know. The thing is that to me it was like, are you out of your mind? He's like, bam, 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 bam. Okay, get out. So I got out. I get in the car and I'm upset, right? He's like, who do you think you are? Stop honking the horn. What's wrong with you? He comes with flowers. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be disturbing. I didn't mean to honk the horn. I'm sorry. I didn't think that it would sound like that. I got you flowers and reservations to your favorite restaurant. They're waiting for us. You're so beautiful. I love you.
I don't like this "you're so beautiful, I love you" stuff after this terrible behavior all the time. What is that about? I don't know.
Full manipulation. I didn't mean to. I can change. Listen to all of these things. I didn't mean to. That's not who I really am. I have a headache. I feel bad. I'm tired. Right? It's not who I really am. Sorry, I lost it. It's because I was stressed at work. Like all of these things
excuses for poor behavior.
If you're in love, you forgive all these things and you let them go.
Really?
If you don't see the pattern. Yes. Well, okay. I let it go. I let it go because I didn't see the pattern. I saw a person who was continuously in repentance. Is that how you say
remorseful? They were constantly
remorse. Yeah, exuding remorse. I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness, no, please, no, it wasn't like that. I honked the horn because I really wanted us to go to the restaurant. It's your favorite restaurant. I got you flowers. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. And and in that moment you go like, oh, it's okay. And now you're forgiving. And now you're forgiven. And now you're into that. And so anyway, we keep happening until I start lying for him. And then the person that actually brought me out of that, there were many people, but 3 of them, mainly. One of them was my sister. And she told me something really important in that moment. Not because you have normalized this, it makes it okay. Mm-hmm. Not because I said it's normal. Not because something is normal makes it okay.
No. Because some people are addicted, like I mentioned a minute ago, some people are addicted to toxic environments because that's all they know. There are a number of people where I remember saying in the past, they don't feel right unless things are wrong. Yeah. If things are going good and they have nothing to complain about, it's almost like they feel like they're on edge because they don't know how to operate in a positive space. So a lot of times those people will create some sort of negativity or create an issue where there is none, and just because this is, I had that conversation actually in a past relationship. I said, just because this is how your family operates doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it right. You all have toxic relationships that don't work, break down. You curse each other out every few weeks, and then you're all back together again with these hurt feelings like everything is okay, just under the guise that it's family. No. I don't operate like that. My family doesn't operate like that, and it doesn't make it right or okay.
But you have nailed it. You say, I don't do this. No. I don't like this. And what happens is that, like, I was super young. I didn't know myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I couldn't have responded. Yeah, but I'm not like that. Yeah, but I'm not gonna go for it. Because I didn't know myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So going back to what is the root of the rebuttal and the root of solving the red flag. Number one is always have clarity on who you are. I am a queen. I am an incredible woman. I am right. So have this very clear. So that you can come to the second part, which is, and I am not going to tolerate this.
Yeah.
And I deserve this. That's how you come back to. The reality is that many of us that have gone through many red flags is because inside we did not love ourselves as much. Absolutely. And we did not know ourselves as much, and we did not cherish and respected ourselves as much.
Yeah.
That is the root of this whole thing.
It's the root of all of
it.
And
with that, everything else, it's like when someone is rude to you, when someone is disrespectful in front of others, when someone is possessive, when someone is insecure, when someone is jealous, when someone wants all the attention because apparently at home they don't have the attention. So all of these things. And then when someone is violent, when someone becomes someone that they're not typical. So when you see all this, that's when you identify as saying, is that who you are? Is that what you want? Is that giving you peace? No, that's not who I am. That's not what I want. And that doesn't give me inner peace. Red flag, get away from it.
Absolutely.
And we move to yellow flags with that, because there are yellow flags before you get to these red flags.
Absolutely. And so I'm going to read one more question, and then hopefully we can introduce some yellow flags right before the end. Okay, so one more from Raquel. She said, I have another question. What's the difference between showing love and love bombing?
Oof.
So good. So this is the thing. We haven't defined for ourselves what love is. Usually we are adopting other people's definitions of what love is. And so what happens is that when we are not clear, when we don't understand what it is for us, because we all have a different definition of what love is, I'm going to give you my definition of what love is to me. Love is freedom. Minue and I share this because freedom is part of our values, by the way. It's, being free to be who I am and not having to change. It's freedom to express myself however I want without you taking offense to it, but rather to have an open dialogue, right? Freedom to have open dialogue. Love is not just saying that you love me, but showing love. And for me, showing love, by the way, if any of you want to do this, go and do the 5 love languages. We're always recommending this to people. I realize that for me, love is acts of service.
Yep.
It's showing up. It's spending time. It has nothing to do with giving me gifts. I'm the opposite. I want you to share time and space with me. And so I have redefined what love is for me. I didn't know what it was in the past. And so the things that I accepted, which went against my boundaries, by the way, and my values, when I think about it, was love bombing. And I'll give you an example. Love bombing was, I'm going to text you, 20 times during the day and tell you I love you and how much you mean to me and you're the queen of the world and all this other stuff. But then I make 0 time to see you during the week and I'll disappear for 3 weeks. But then I'll show up. Yeah, but then I'll show up and I'll send you, 10 gifts to your house. That's love bombing. For me personally.
So it's an unhealthy action that's not based and rooted in words and action aligning.
Right. It's misalignment. Yeah, it's misalignment. It's it goes against what you consider love to be. We have boundaries. Some people don't want, to be called or for you to send them, 10 texts a day. They want just 1 because they're busy during the day. they may consider that love bombing.
Yeah.
We all have a different definitions, but there are standard definitions
Right.
for it. It's something that makes you feel uncomfortable and goes against what your definition of love is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tricky one because love bombing could mean different things for different people. And it's the way that we manifest love. I would think that the key here is called reciprocity. Right. I tend to react with a lot of love expressions. Like I am the one that will be sending a lot of kisses and hugs, and I'm thinking about you, and I got you flowers and this and that. I grew up in a culture of a lot of expression, both in art, like artistic expression also. You know, in Mexico, we love someone and we get mariachi to their home. And we give something called serenata, like I'm singing outside of your window. Like it's a culture of how do you say this? You yell your love out loud. You express.
Mm-hmm.
A lot,
That's how you
right?
that's how you express love.
Yes,
Yes.
it's you know February 14th and it's flowers and chocolates and I love you and like I have felt, for example, here in the US that people are a little bit different in their expressions of love, right? I have felt that it's not as like you don't have people writing poetry to you and then singing a song and then calling the radio station and say this song is dedicated to, and like all of these things and a huge bear or like all these things. I come from a cheesy culture, if you want to call it that way. It's like we're cheesy, we're sappy, corny, or how I don't know what other word. And so, but it depends. Then I think it's reciprocity. If I'm showing or demonstrating a lot of love like this to another person, and this other person responds with an emoji that says this, I think then mine will be the love bombing. But if the other person responds with the same thing as me, then we're both love bombing, and I think then that is fun in my perspective. So I don't know, it all depends.
The thing is that you have to be clear with what it is that you want with the other person. You should be able to tell them, this is how I receive love, and this is what my definition of love is, because you could be in a relationship with someone that's not how they express love. And so you may be getting offended inadvertently because you're the person that expresses love to the maximum. You're sending emojis and unicorns and rainbows and, love hearts, all the time. And you're expecting them to be reciprocal. And they're like, no, I do it through actions. Mine's is showing up when you need me. Mine's is, I know you're a business owner and you have an event tonight. I'm going to go and set up chairs. And so it's being clear with the other of what you expect and what you would like. Because I think this is the important part, that I may not consider that love bombing, but the other may. Because they don't know that that's the way that you express and show love.
Right. Absolutely. Can we get a snippet of what we're going to be getting into with yellow flags? And I'm sure we're going to go back and forth between red and yellow a lot, and just reiterating a lot of what was said over the last year about red flags. But as we're transitioning into those yellow flags where, it's maybe a warning or, cautious, being cautious. We're going to start with romantic relationships. So can we just get a snippet of what we're going to be talking about next month?
Sure. So what we're going to do is that we're going to define exactly what yellow flags are, because I think that there's some confusion. Like, we're very clear on what a green flag could be and what a red flag could be. We don't know what a yellow flag could be. And actually, that's the definition. When you don't know, when it's ambiguous, when you don't know what to feel. It's like you could be in a relationship with somebody and today they're showing you green flags. Then tomorrow it's like, that could be a red flag, but I don't know how they feel about me. But they haven't asked for me to be in a relationship formally with them. But do they really like me? Like, you're doubting. But then they show you that, they're really into you, but then they disappear 3 weeks later. It's is that a yellow flag?
Girl, that sounds like a red flag. It sounds like it's exhausting. And it sounds like you need to go home and watch Netflix.
That sounds like a red flag.
What I'm telling you is that's a definition of ambiguity. You just don't know. It's literally when it creates doubt in you, where you're questioning, is this really a green flag? Is this a red flag? And so the yellow flag is something that becomes a pattern, but you don't see it at the beginning or in the moment. And then you realize, oh, wait a second. It's like the deja vu moment. I've been here before. Didn't you do this like 7 months ago when I told you it was bothering me? And here you go again. You were okay, in between for like 5 months, and then you go back to the same thing.
So as women, that's one of those situations where you say to yourself, or you say to your friends or your family or whoever your trusted counsel is, you'll say, I didn't like this, but I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind because I'm not sure yet. I'm not going to make a decision I'm not going to make a definitive decision about this yet, but I don't believe I'm comfortable with it because this variable, that variable, if it goes this way, I'm okay with it. But if it goes that way, I'm not okay with it. And I don't know which way this person is going with it. So I'm just going to keep this situation in the back of my mind and I'm going to wait it out because it could be okay. But then it can't be. There's a situation where it's like, you know what? That's a deal breaker. I'm not doing it. I feel like that's yellow flags for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
It's not a deal breaker yet,
right?
But it can become a deal breaker later on
when
it's repetitive, when it becomes the pattern.
And so it's something that's repetitive that you don't understand. You gave the example last month when you were here on the show and you said there was something that that someone was doing and you were like, I don't know if I like this, or maybe I shouldn't deal with this. And then the longer it went on, you were like, wait a minute, is this because of blah, blah, blah variable? And it was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Again, you could have said, nope, this is a red flag. I'm done. I'm walking. This is over. But you didn't do that. You stayed. You asked questions. You got some understanding about it. And then it was like, okay, all right, this is either something I can deal with or something I cannot deal with. I feel like that's the yellow flags.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly.
You know what? It's important. It's important also to allow ourselves to have yellow flags and not go directly into red flags, because Angie and I were talking about this. There are a lot of yellow flags that become red flags because we are forcing them to be red flags just because we become intolerant. Like if you've been hurt before, with something, and now you know yourself better. Now you have your boundaries. Now you know who you are. Now you're single and happy. And now a little tiny behavior of another new person that has nothing to do with your past. A new person has this tiny behavior and it's triggering for you, and you immediately put it in a red flag, and that's unfair. And that's unfair because you need to give the other person the chance for them to know, I don't like this or I like this. But don't put it in the red flag immediately. Name it yellow. It's okay. I understand you don't like it. Yes. But don't put it there yet. Yellow flag is a place where you give yourself the chance to think, to ask, to clarify. Because yellow flag is ambiguity. Yeah. Yellow flag is inconsistency.
Yeah.
So yellow flag is a chance for you to say, listen, you called me yesterday, then you stopped talking to me 2 days, or I like that you touch base with me 3 times a day. Can you do that? Instead of, you don't call me all day long and we're in a relationship. Unless we're not in a relationship, then it's okay, right? But this is what I like. I like to be touching base. And then if the person doesn't do it, and you ask and they don't do it, and you ask and they don't do it, that's called a pattern.
Yeah.
A pattern of yellow flags is a red.
If you guys agreed on something, some sort of compromise, because even your 3 times a day, it might be like, well, listen, you do know I have blah, blah, blah profession, so I'm not able to do 3 times a day. I'm not used to doing 3 times a day. Would you mind if on Tuesdays it's 3 times, but Wednesdays it's 1.5, maybe it's 1 and a text message until I see you later, or whatever it is that you compromise and you agree upon, and hopefully that works for the relationship.
Absolutely. It's an agreement and it's a negotiation.
Yeah.
And then you can see again if there's a pattern, because if the person says no and no and no, that's a pattern already. Red flag. Boom.
Right.
But again, and yellow flag is the one that allows you to kind of not be as guarded. Sometimes I've been so comfortable with myself that I am guarded now, and if you tell me something, I am going to be a little bit on the defense, right? We also have something in yellow flag that we call it Freudian expectations, like Freud, and it's because you're not like my father. Oh, I want someone like my mommy. Oh, I want so I'm in love. No, and it's also a Edipo and Electra effect, that you're looking for someone that looks like someone. You're not like my ex, or you're not like the ideal person, and so I just think it's also expectations. Yellow flag is also about way too flexible boundaries. I have my boundary, but it's okay. I guess it's different. I'm going to give it a try, so I'm going to go back. And it's incredible to think this. The yellow flag is more a flag for you and not for the other.
It's a warning, caution, or a time to pause, or a time to pay attention, or
Yes, because the red flag is kind of obvious that the other person has something that's like not there, right? But the yellow flag, this is you. Are you really willing to? Our coach has something that I really, really like. The Hippocratic Oath says that you have to save all lives, right? But part of the oath is a long oath. Is in order for you to heal, you need to be willing to let go that makes you sick. And that's where it's come. Oh, I'm super and the example that he uses oh, I'm super fat, I'm so unfit, but I love my donuts.
Right.
Oh no, I'm very unhappy, but I want to be with this person. I don't want to let go of this person. So do you want to heal? Are you willing to let go that is actually hurting you?
Yeah.
The yellow flag is for you.
It's reflective. It's for you.
It's for you.
Listen, we're going to have to pick up here next month. Listen, we're transitioning out of red flags. We're going into yellow flags. We just talked about it for the last 10 minutes. But please note that at the end of that next month, we're going to completely dive into this at the end of June. And we're going to continue on with more definitions. And we're going to delve into the romantic relationship side of it. We kind of just defined it today. And then we'll go on into corporate relationships and friends and family and all of the things. But I love when you guys are on the show. I love all of our conversations. Again, they're always therapy for me. And, we're always on this healing journey. So I know we have to end tonight's show because we have to get ready for the next one. But any last minute thoughts before we end tonight until next month? Quickly.
When you experience ambiguity, just give yourself some time. Don't jump into any conclusions. Put it in the back of your mind. Usually something will happen during the week, during the day, that will give you the response. And so just park it until you're ready to deal with it.
My last thought is that as red flags and green flags, when we get there, by the law of attraction, don't be surprised of the things you attract. And it's because you are that right now. If you're ambiguous, you will attract ambiguity. So just be mindful of that.
All right. Listen, I love that. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you everyone who is watching tonight. And for those who are in the comment section, we love when you guys are interactive with us. We love you guys for watching. We love you guys for listening. Unfortunately, we have to go. We have to end the show because we end at 8 o'clock. But we will be back here, God willing, next month, continuing on with Yellow Flags. And I will be back here, God willing, next week. Will I be here next week? Oh, wait, my birthday is Sunday. I don't even know where I'm going to be next week. So
happy
So we'll see, because I'll be somewhere celebrating or doing something. So I may not be here next week, but the week after that, I will be back here.
Birthday,
Yes. Oh, look at that. So thank you to everyone. I'll be somewhere celebrating, but I love you all, and I will see you soon. All right, Jeff, take us away. Bye, everybody.
Bye, thanks.